Hey folks, I hope you're well. I've been talking to loads of people recently about the impact of lockdown on them and the impact of the pandemic and what impact that's had on their business. But I want to look forward, and I'm going to bring a friend of mine on in a minute. I'll bring myself on screen first. That would probably be a sensible thing to do. But I've been working with Tim Beanland over in Melbourne, Australia for a year or so now, probably a bit longer than that. And Tim really knows his stuff and advises me in the background on everything video and audio. So if I get it right and my videos look great and my audio sound great, that's down to Tim. And if I get it wrong, that's usually because I've tried to do it myself. So I know how you laughed at that. I'm going to bring Tim on screen because, good morning from here, Tim, and I guess it's sort of late in the evening or afternoon wherever I'm talking to you.
Yeah, it's about 9:45 here in Australia, but awesome to be talking to you no matter what.
Yeah, we have to try and we sort of fit our chats in on the overlap at the beginning and end of my day, effectively, don't we? I send you stuff in the morning and then, of course, you go to bed and then I get messages back from you later on in the evening. But the fact that we can do this is just pretty incredible to me.
Oh, it's fantastic. How technology works. I was commenting even to my 90-year-old grandma about, she's amazed how everyone can communicate on Zoom, during this lockdown. It's incredible that we can work the way we do. Yeah.
With a combination of occasional Zoom meetings, lots of Facebook Messenger and emails and Google Drive, we seem to be able to work almost as if we're in the same building. That's how it feels to me. We move files about between each other, but there's it's just as easy as if we were there. Exactly,
and that's what I really like about the working relationship that we've got is it's facilitated by technology, and I think that's also something that might stop people as well. And the way we've been able to cooperate with that really is a cool model for other people to, implement as well, I think.
Because, and this is what I sort of really brought you on to talk about, because through your business, Bean Talking, You've been talking to people about podcasts, you've been helping people with podcasts, and you were introduced to me originally by the wonderful Edward Zia over in Sydney, who I've known for years. And then you also talk to people about video because the actual means of production for me to record a video like this or record a podcast, most of us carry the means of production around in our pocket all the time now in the form of our smartphone. Don't know if we even still call them smartphones. So actually making the video isn't technically difficult anymore. Actually making the podcast recording sound isn't technically difficult anymore. It's that bit about getting it right, isn't it? Making it something that other people actually want to watch or listen to.
And that's almost part of the problem in a sense that it is so easy. Therefore, our social media feed can get cluttered with that. I think we've all seen the selfie videos and we're kind of used to that by now and almost in tune with if you're walking past and it's really windy, right, and the audio is not right, I'm going to swipe across that video in 2 seconds. So I think that's part of the challenge, but also part of the excitement for me when it comes to producing videos for a marketing purpose. By no means am I a wedding videographer. I've got some mates that are fantastic with that, and I draw on their experience a lot. But from the marketing perspective, getting the audio right, getting the video right, which allows you to gain attention, but then also get your message across, which is really important and something that you obviously do very well when I'm editing your videos.
I'll tell you where it helps because I'm hosting this interview for the benefit of people who are watching or listening. I'm hosting this, so I've had to set everything up at my end, and there are things that I get wrong that I don't need to get wrong, such as getting people's volume levels different. So one of the interviews I did recently, they were very loud and I came out very quiet. I didn't hear it when we were recording it, but none of that stuff is actually, if you know the right tools and know how to do it, or know someone who can do it, all of that stuff can pretty much be solved, can't it? All of that stuff can be dealt with.
Yeah, it always depends. It depends on how bad it is. If they're super, super quiet, then you might have a little bit more problems. But if one person is a little bit louder, one person is a little bit softer, in the editing process, you just equalize it out. So you just look at it like a wave up and down. Like, you might be up here, the other person's down here. The editing facilities that we have through Premiere Pro, through even Camtasia, through Audition, you can equalize that out. So yes, if you know how to use the technology, or if you've spoken to an audio engineer, they can take it to another level. I had a podcast where I had 3 microphones at one time, and 2 of them worked, but one of them failed. And the one that failed, this guy was saying some really valuable stuff. So the audio was completely wrong. But I was able to send that to a sound engineer who studied for 4 years, and they wrote an algorithm to, get the sound from the 2 microphones that were working, and was able to get his audio and then fix it. And it sounded like nothing had happened. Now that's a little bit to the extreme, but I guess that sort of tells you what you can do if you go the extra mile, particularly with the editing process. So it's not just about doing the video, whacking it out there, even though that's a good place to start. But having that little bit of polish, really, really makes a difference.
So you've covered something that I was going to say anyway. Actually putting video of yourself out there and audio is really important in 2021, because it helps people to feel like they know you. And I've talked about that enough. It helps your social media audience, your networking audience, to feel like they continue that connection with you. So me talking to you today means that when I put this video out, people who haven't seen me for over a year still get to see moving pictures and my voice, and it sort of keeps us in touch. So doing video and doing audio is a given in 2021. So what tips, to get straight into it, would you give people from the video point of view and the audio point of view, so that they at least start to get it right?
Yeah, the biggest thing is starting, honestly. And I know people have heard that before. It's just starting, but there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of, am I worth putting this video out? And part of it starts there, and that's good. But that's where we get the selfie videos and that kind of thing. If you want to get noticed and actually people to listen to the duration, I would invest, and it was one of the first things I told you, is get a lapel mic. A lapel mic is just a little microphone. You can pick them up from Amazon for $20 if you want, but it's just something that will increase the audio quality so much and get people listening to the end and really paying attention to your message. Because if you're walking around and the audio quality is not good, people are going to switch off in 2 seconds. If you're walking around and your audio quality is good because you've got a lapel mic, you're going to get that a little bit more duration. And that's something I've always been interested about. How do you capture and gain attention and keep that attention throughout the entire process? I started my working career in telemarketing. So you got 2 seconds on the phone to get attention. So that's where it's come into the video aspect is, okay, what can you do in those 2 seconds to get someone to keep watching? And the most important thing I would tell people is get the audio right, get a lapel mic, get something like that. So that would be the big tip. Yeah.
I just held my Rode lapel mic Neither of us are sponsored by Rode, aren't we? Are we? But I'm just looking around my desk now, feeling like I should be, because I've got the Rode lapel mics, which you recommended to me, and I've now got Rode Wireless Go as well. So I can do it because I've got some big videos to do. But it's because no one wants to be listening to something and the audio be grating with them. That's going to turn them off along the way, isn't it? And so getting the audio right is right, and as you say, it's not that difficult to do. What about the picture side of it? What's in view and so on? How do people start to make their videos look right?
Yeah, okay. Lighting is very important. So the room you're sitting in right now is well lit. You are facing a window, which is a bit of a challenge, but what you've done is you've put blinds. you've put blinds. You've tried to cover that. But what a lot of people do is they'll shoot into the light, which is a big problem. What I've done with my space is I've tried to add a little bit of color, a little bit of interest, a little bit of something different. To the side of me, I've got a key light, which is just a softbox light that's projecting and giving a little bit better light than just the down light, in your normal kitchen. So that's the thing I would do, is look into the lighting, even if it means you have to go outside and shoot in the daylight. It's the lighting that is incredibly important to make your video stand out and be better.
I'll tell you what, I'm fiddling around with stuff as you're talking, because you say that, and you say that I've got the lighting right in this room, but what I'm going to do is, I've got more than one camera working, as you know, and if we really briefly switch to one of the other cameras, actually, that's a bit better than it was. The light, and you can see, I've got the camera angle really cleverly set up so people don't tend to see the clutter of mess on the corner of my desk.
Yeah.
But actually, the lighting in here is all right, but there is also a truth that I'm looking at that one now, and now I'm looking at that one, that I've done a little bit of digital manipulation of the picture. There we go. You're back. I've adjusted the brightness on the picture of me anyway, and you're absolutely right, because it confuses the hell out of the software. I've shut the blind just there, because having that there, and it just confuses the hell out of the software and puts me pretty much in silhouette. So yeah, I did think about that in the 5 or 10 minutes before you and I came live, to actually get the look of it right, because equally, I guess this is interesting for people. I've got the camera that I'm talking to, which is actually my phone camera, is on a tripod, because if we come to the one of the other cameras in the room, the angle's not very flattering.
Yeah, the angles. Well, and that's another thing that I didn't touch on. The angle. A lot of people get to do what you're doing right now, is they'll post a video like that last angle. And it's just not flattering. And again, you come back to the 1 to 2 seconds of attention span that people have. It just makes such a difference. But it's these tiny things that are so subconscious, and the person that doesn't produce the video won't see it. But when you watch that video back, you just go, there's something not quite right about that. And I've been very impressed by your ability to upgrade that. When we first started talking, you had the iPad. You didn't place it anywhere. And that was just on Zoom calls. But you've put a really thought out effort into where your camera angle is right now, and I've been noticing that content increase. So yes, you did say some of the visuals and audio when you do it yourself wasn't as good as when we were working, but give yourself some credit, because you've got an angle there that is really pleasing. So
vain.
yeah, that's another little thing. Yeah.
I'm vain, and I've got enough young people around me to understand that if the camera's up there, it takes probably 6 or 7 pounds off me compared to if the camera's down there. That's the absolute reality of it. So I'm quite vain with it. You see, but there's the thing: when you and I have meetings, when we're talking about like my stuff these days, you and I had a meeting the other day, and I was in the kitchen because someone else was doing something in this room, and we were on the iPad camera down there, but. With enormous respect to you, I've known you for a year or 18 months now. When I'm doing a meeting with a sales team later on, and I'm going into their sales meeting, they're in Ireland. I'll be doing that by Zoom later on, and of course, I will have the camera set up on a stand or a tripod so that they get a more flattering angle, because I'm spending an hour or so training them at lunchtime, so I don't want them to be distracted by anything that's going on in my nose, Tim. That's that can happen, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the vanity, I mean, we've all, I know you've had a good weight loss journey so far, but during lockdown, we've all put on maybe a few extra kilograms, and it doesn't help to get the upward view. So yeah, look, if the simplest takeaway is if you can do a little bit up, like you're taking a photo, like, there's a reason selfie sticks are so popular. That would be another thing people can do to just improve without buying expensive equipment, So yeah,
I think from the first, I might even segue into it in this part of the conversation, because from the very first YouTube which I did, which was 2010 there or thereabouts, when I'm using a flip cam, if you remember that. But even then, I think I'd watched enough YouTubes to have the flip cam set on the windowsill on a little tripod, so it was higher up than me. But it's interesting to me how much difference I've made. Even going to networking events, just to talk about my thing for a second, I think it's much more pleasing if you're having a one-to-one with someone or listening to someone's 40 or 60 second introduction and the camera's at a pleasant angle, not just sat in their lap looking up at them. So it's not just about making videos to go out on Facebook and YouTube. It's about getting it right generally, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about networking, which I know is your wheelhouse. So we've moved networking online, and in the UK, you're still in a lockdown. So what is behind you when you're networking? Is your partner going to walk through? Is the cat walking across your thing? Little things that in networking go a long way. Do you have something that's memorable? For me, it's this big microphone, right here. People comment on it straight away, and we've done networking events, and it's the first thing people mention. They go, "Geez, you've got a setup." But what have you done to make a sticky impression with your video, and a sticky impression in a good way, not a bad way? And I think you'd attest to that. You've probably seen some online networking shockers, haven't you, in the last year?
It's an interesting one, because I go for honesty, and I go for the honesty of my situation, which is that since March last year, there's 4 of us in this household, and 3 of us work from home. So I am unexpectedly slotted into a corner of the sitting room, and we've got the honesty of that. People can see that that's where I am. I choose not to use a virtual background, and part of the reasons I choose not to use a virtual background is I tend to move backwards and forwards and use my hands. And on most Zoom virtual backgrounds, people's heads disappear and that sort of thing. But I'm quite happy with the honesty that this is my working environment for now. 4 of us adults existing in this house. I think something worth bearing in mind, actually, come into this really quickly. My business partner is a specialist in disability and accessibility awareness, and a number of the people who I've come across at networking events who have hearing difficulties really need everyone else in the room to be well lit and really need their mouths to be visible in shot. Because a number of my friends who have hearing difficulties rely on what they can see in people's lips as well as what they can hear. So that's worth thinking about, as well as everything else, as well as your personal brand, which comes across. It's also worth thinking about the other people in the room, and can they see you properly and can they hear you? Outside of my friends who are deaf or have hearing difficulties, for everyone else, I'm absolutely sure that it helps us to trust people more if we can see their faces and they're not sat in complete shadow all the time.
Yeah, well, let's talk about an obvious thing that people say all the time: know, like, and trust. Yeah. So if they can't see or hear you, how are they going to know you? If you aren't clear and your message is spotty and shaky, how are they going to trust you? And then if they can't build that relationship and know and hear you, then they're not going to like you as much. I don't know if that's too blunt, but I think thinking about the other person in the room, and that's my response when someone goes, "Oh, you've got a setup." I say, "Yeah, I want people to hear me," and hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching in, there is a difference there. Hopefully, because there's a reason I've done it, and yes, it's because I'm in the podcasting space, but also that added benefit of getting people to actually hear me is really cool. Because I speak quite softly. It was something that was told to me and pointed out to me is I actually do, of an interview, I'm actually a little bit quieter. Having a microphone, having it this close is a real advantage.
I think that's a really, really, that's an incredibly important point, because going back, when I was talking to people about real life networking events where people stand up and do their 60 or 40 second introduction, something that I've always said to people is tell people the name and your name and the name of your business first in the first few seconds, not least because it gets it out there, but also it gives people a chance to tune into your voice. I've got quite a booming voice a lot of the time, and just before we pressed record on this, I messed around with a few things because my voice was booming a little bit too much, and it's always interesting to me if someone else in the room, when we're networking, or the person who follows me has then got a very soft voice and has got a different accent to me, it just takes us a little while to tune into that as well, doesn't it? And that helps as well to allow people to settle into our voice as we're speaking.
It's also pretty easy to remember your name and your business, I hope, as well. So it gets rid of the nerves. I'm sure a lot of people are sitting there worrying about what they're going to say, unless they've got a really well written thing up, done by yourself, Stefan. I know that's something you do. They're sitting there thinking about, what am I going to say? If you can lead off and you can go, "Hi, I'm Tim Beanland from Bean Talking. We do podcasting and video interview marketing." You just start on a strong note. And as you say, people then hear you, they tune in. And I think we're coming back to, again, attention. If you're grabbing attention and getting people to tune into you, there's plenty of advantages that go along with that.
Something that you said earlier on, which I've wanted to come back to, is I can't remember the expression you used, but you said something about people getting over the fear of putting video out there, the fear of them being good enough. Not necessarily the technicalities of the video, not necessarily the production quality or of the video or audio that they put out, but a load of people wonder if they've got something to say that's going to be valuable to other people, or, if they put it out, is anyone going to bother listening to them? And I know that's a a fear that people have about putting themselves out there on video and audio.
Yeah, definitely. And something that I think will help people with that is start from, if you're a business owner, you want to put video out, you're doing your business because you're either passionate about it, you're really good at what you do, and if you've been in it for a long time, you've probably helped a ton of people, unless you're in an unsavory world. You've probably helped a ton of people. So therefore, you're qualified to talk about that. You're qualified to talk about those stories. You're qualified to give that little bit of tips and info and all that kind of stuff. People think that if I have to make a video, it has to be a sales video. Don't get me wrong. I love sales. I love marketing. But that's just not the type of video that people want to watch. It's just the way that the world's gone. There is a time and a place for it, but that is something to keep in mind. But if that helps you get started, if you go back to why you're doing the business, and you've probably helped a ton of people, and by you creating more content, it can be a vehicle for you to help so many other people, then yeah, get out there and do it. And even if it means that you stumble over the first 5 videos, I tell you what, my first 5 podcasts, if you go back and listen to them, are absolutely terrible. I just had a really crummy microphone. I had no idea what I was doing. Luckily, I had my cousin's husband is a sound engineer, audio engineer. I asked them at their wedding. I said, I'm going to go and do these portable podcast interviews. Give me something that I can just take. And he grabbed my phone off me and was like, okay, this. But those first 5 or 6 episodes were really crummy audio-wise. But I knew that I was walking away from conversations with people that had to be shared. And that left me into starting. And now, I've recorded over 80 and I've published near 50. And that's started the journey. So, and even now I'm improving, I'm buying new gear, I'm getting different microphones, I'm getting different light sources. So I'm at a point where I am upgrading that technology, but I started from nothing. I started from a really simple setup. And yeah, I'm kind of aware that I'm rambling a bit here, but it's just trying to inspire people to start with what you have, start with the level that you're at, get that confidence to do it, because your message is worth sharing, and just get going. Yeah.
It is so important, and a couple of things to pick up on that. I talk about using your time twice, and I know certainly in the UK and in England we are completely locked down still, but that will open up this year. And one of the things that I was doing when we were going to real life networking events was that I would typically take a camera tripod with me, a little mini one, take that in my bag, and then if there was someone at the networking event where I thought there was a worthwhile conversation that other people would benefit from, I would set the phone up on a table, very often in a pub or a restaurant where we'd had the networking event at the end of the meeting, and we would just sit there and both talk to camera. And that's pretty much how I started doing Facebook Lives. Just sitting down and talking to someone and putting that content out there. The second thing is that you've just hit on as well, is that so many people think that their video and audio content ought to always be selling something. And you know that that's something that I really disagree with.
Yeah, and I disagree with it too. I believe that you need to have sales in mind. You need to have a funnel in mind. You need to have a reason and a purpose. But if your first video is buy my stuff, no, thank you. If I go up to, I'm happily in a relationship, but when I was single, if I went up to someone at a bar and said, "Hey, will you marry me?" I think that'd be go away, creepo. So, and it's the same thing with your content. You need to be putting out videos of value that people enjoy, that are entertaining, that grab attention, which inspires interest, which inspires desire, which then inspires action. And what I just did there was the basic fundamentals of attention, interest, desire, action in marketing, but it's the same thing with your content. So
you said, no, don't be sorry at all. You just said something which was so important, and you said two words which I want to make sure that people notice, because at the end you said it inspires action. And what so many people try and do in their video content, in their audio content, is they try and demand action. So if you can inspire action, this is my feeling anyway. If I put useful video, useful content out there that people enjoy, then that person will probably watch the next video I put out there, or at least start watching it and decide whether they're liking it. And then if in video 6, I say, oh, and by the way, I've got a course coming up, they'll probably go and look at that course. But if video 1 is all about go and look at my course, I've got a course coming up, this is what you'll get from it, go and look at it, and I'm demanding action along the way. To me, I did an Instagram reel yesterday where I talked about this. If you go at someone when you first meet them and try and sell to them and they say no, they'll probably ignore everything else that you put their way after that. If you allow that person to get to know you, they'll probably pay attention to the content that you put out there. If you allow that person to get to know you and you put useful, decent content out there, they'll probably start watching that content. And if in one of the videos you say, and by the way, this is what I've got to buy, they may well go and take a look at it. Whereas they would have said no to that thing just because you went in too soon. That's one of the things that's really interesting me at the moment, because the next question I want to ask you is, where is this going, Tim? Because YouTube's been around for 15 years now, I think 2006. Podcasts have been a thing for a while, but it really feels like this is their time. Most of the younger people in my family, the teenagers, most of them don't actually watch television anymore. They watch YouTube, and they choose who they look at and what they look at, rather than the television companies choosing for them. A load of people in business, and when we get back to commuting, consume podcasts because it's really convenient. You can listen to it in the car or on the tube or whatever it happens to be. In your opinion, as someone who's close to all of this, where do you see all of this going, and how do you see it becoming even more important in our lives?
Yeah, big question. I think the key thing there is convenience and time. Our attention spans are continually getting shorter, and the proof marker that I'll give to that is the rapid growth of TikTok. And Reels, 15 to 60 seconds. People will flick through that for 2 hours, but they're doing that because there's constant attention, constant dopamine, constant all of that. So I think in terms of giving a practical answer, our attention span is getting shorter. That doesn't mean that there isn't a place for the long form YouTube video, the podcast, as you say, commuting. People watch podcasts on YouTube. People commute and listen to podcasts. I just think it's coming back to attention, though. You need to get attention. You need to be talking about something valuable or entertaining. There's a lot of really successful podcasts that are hilarious. But if you're in a business mindset, think about practical. And that's a mistake I even made with my own show. Some of the questions I was asking weren't getting a practical answer. So, that's a little bit on me. But in terms of coming back to broad scope, I think it's about picking a medium that works for you. Is it short form video, which you can put on Reels or TikTok? Do you love the podcast format where you can get really into detail with stuff? I think people's attention will go where it's most convenient. If I have 5 minutes, I'm going to flick on TikTok. If I want to learn about something in depth, I'm going to listen to a podcast. So I think it's all about where people want to spend their time and then the convenience. And it's the same for any marketing effort. Where's the eyeballs and where are the ears? You said it, like the younger generation, we're watching Netflix and YouTube. But there's also still attention on TV. It's just a different demographic. I don't like it when people say, oh, you got to do one thing. But where is your audience hanging out? That's the thing. And that's where you got to, sorry. That's where you got to be putting the content. Yeah.
No, bless you. I think, and I was looking down again then because I'm going to bring something else up on screen in a second, but something that what I've decided is to be visible on as many platforms as possible. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, pick up a load of corporate business on LinkedIn, but I'm very mindful of the fact that a lot of people from the Snapchat generation are now in their mid-20s. Including at least one person who lives in this household who is a TikTok influencer. So I've also noticed that some of those people are working for the people who take me on to speak at conferences and that sort of thing. So I've wanted to be visible everywhere. There's no downside to me in someone saying, oh, we're thinking about getting that Stefan Thomas in, and someone else saying, oh, I've heard of him. I've seen him on Instagram. So as a direct result of that, I've put some focus recently into short form stuff.
Look at this. Yeah.
And there's my Instagram reels right there. Because I've talked to you about this as well. Engagement was going down in other places. And I just noticed that when I started putting Instagram reels out, 30 seconds networking clips, when I get it right, in one case got 1,500 views and a load of comments. Yeah. And even this one, which is only a couple of hours old, it's getting attention. It's getting eyeballs somewhere where I wouldn't normally be.
So let's go back and look at that one. Sorry, if you can, the one that's done really well, and I'll try and dissect to people why that one did well. And I have actually watched it. You should, if you're watching along, you should probably go to Stefan's Instagram and watch this what if video. The things that Stefan did right here was one, the title thing. I'd maybe change that up and put a more organic title. By that, I mean you put the video up and then you type on the screen, what if, just because that's a little bit more organic. But I wanted to say the positives. The positives that you did there was it's an authentic video. You've got your phone out and people can relate to that straight away. So it's not overproduced. Then the intrigue is there. What if? Okay. What is he going to talk about? What does that mean? So you haven't written a title that explains the video straight away. So someone decides in a stat moment, oh, that's not for me. That's where a title, we all know the title and the subtitle videos, but think a little bit deeper in terms of you've just said, what if? That hasn't given the video away.
But then the video itself,
then the message. So yeah, let's play the message and see if that works.
But we won't, doing it this way, we won't get sound on it, I'm afraid. But people can still see what we're doing. So we should have thought about this in advance because I've got that on different advice.
That's another thing, Stefan, is you could have gone another level and put subtitles on. You were just talking about people with disabilities. What if someone who's deaf wants to watch this video?
I think let's put us back on screen for a second because I'm just going to have whilst I'm talking to you, and I'm just going to have a skim through a load of my LinkedIn stuff recently because I've done exactly that with a lot of videos recently. I'm trying different things and mixing things up, but with a load of LinkedIn videos that I've put out there, certainly in the last few months, This is me desperately filling whilst I look for the right video.
That's okay. Well, I can say something else because I didn't finish the last reason why that video was successful. And then the actual message within that video was impactful. It wasn't pointless. You said, what if you went to a networking event and you actually cared about the other person rather than trying to sell your products to them? It was that type of message. Now I've ad-libbed what you said, but the message gave people an ability to go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a useful tip. And a little bit more altruistic is like, oh, yeah, well, good people do that, and I'm a good person. I want to be a good person. I'm going to try that out. It's like when you see a quote and you relate to that. So your message itself in that video. So I guess to summarize, you grabbed attention with the title. You kept their attention by the lighting was good. The video itself was quite nice. It wasn't super shaky. And then you maintained it by a message that actually gave value to that consumer or the person watching it. And that's what you did in a 10 to 15-second video.
And what I try and do is you, as well as that, keep, I guess part of it is I've done this quite a lot, and also I'm told that I've got a voice that it is easy for people to listen to. So I'm blessed with that. But picking up on your point, one of the things that I did do with a load of other videos was have them actually subtitled, so that we can see you can see the subtitles appearing across the bottom of the screen here. And yeah, so I've put some effort into that sort of thing as well to get that right. It's a lot of it has been a load of, let's just put us back on screen, trial and effort as well. I mean, there's nothing to stop you or I subtitling all of the videos that I put on Instagram Reels. One of the interesting things about Instagram Reels and TikTok is just the amount of screen real estate you've got to fit everything into, isn't it? It's to fit subtitles on there as well just takes up a lot of room as much as anything.
Exactly, and that comes in with the editing. So if you spend enough time on TikTok, you will see videos subtitled wrong and you'll see videos subtitled right. The way to do it on TikTok is actually not along the bottom that you just saw, because it won't come up on the screen as well. Yeah. The way to do it on TikTok is actually to write it out so it appears on the screen in different locations. And that takes a little bit of a different editing thing. I know TikTok in particular has on the phone, you can do a little bit of that. I personally haven't experimented with it because I've just been in a bit of a quieter phase with the strategy. And other things. But yeah, it's just about, because that's the other thing that people can go wrong with, but will also, if they just flip it, will make a big difference. Before you post a video, go and play with the software. So I built a TikTok account from 0 followers to 20,000 followers. It was called Rescue Turtle. I was going through TikTok, flicking through, and I was like, oh, God, this is so interactive stuff. And I noticed that dog accounts and cat accounts were starting to come over to the platform, and people love animals. And I was sitting with a mate of mine, Rob, and my girlfriend, and I was like, you know what? I bet if I made an account about turtles, it would take off. So I just went out and I found some really nice videos of turtles and made – basically, but before I did that, I was watching TikTok for 2-3 hours a day. Now that was stupid because I, waste of time maybe, but I understood the language of the platform before I posted a video. A lot of people don't get they might put the wrong dimensions of a video, or they might not understand when I say language, they might not understand the right type of video to put on it. You might put something that completely makes no sense, or if you go on Twitter, you might write a tweet that's too long. So understand the language of that platform. And that's what I did with TikTok. I understood that it's, nice little videos that create a bit of a story that make people go, oh, that's cute, or, haha, that's funny. So I created a video that was centered around a turtle swimming up to a diver, and the turtle had a shell on its back, and the human just took the shell off and dropped it. What I then did was I played some emotional music under that. I then created a story where the turtle was asking the human for help. So I was like, hey, human, can you please take this shell off me? Turtle then swims up, human takes the shell off, and then the turtle swims away. Super basic video, but because I looked at what people were doing on the platform, I was just able to assimilate that into that video. And then that video got 500,000 views, and that grew the account to 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's what's interesting to me hearing you talk about this is that you understand TikTok and you understand Instagram, and just before we wrap this up, that puts you in a brilliant position to advise other people on what they need to do to get the right platforms for their business, because there's quite a choice out there now, isn't it? It's difficult to know where we all need to be.
Yes, it is. And you don't want to spread yourself too thin if you're not the most comfortable person with editing video, all that kind of stuff. However, you do want to be, as you said, you want to have a wide coverage. So it's about picking the ones that are right for you and then dabbling in the other ones.
Yeah.
So don't ignore TikTok. You might be like, oh, it's just for my kids. Well, your kids are working in organizations, making decisions and putting influence on decision makers. So, that's what I'd say on that is go deep on a couple, but then experiment and tinker with others, because you'll be surprised what happens. You might go viral on Reels, and then people will check you out on Instagram more. They'll check you out on LinkedIn. They'll check you out on Facebook. So, that's what I'd say on that.
Now, just before we go, that's a really important point, because one of the things that I've done whenever I've tried out a new platform or moved myself over to a new platform, I've also made absolutely sure that I encourage those people to go and follow me on the other platforms, LinkedIn or Facebook, the if you like, more established platforms, so that I'm not just spending time talking to a new audience. I'm encouraging that audience to come back to where they'll normally find me. Which is a really neat segue, because where can people find you, Tim? Just before we wrap this conversation up, where will people find you if they want to come and check you out?
Yeah, good one. I think the first place, if you want to send me a direct message, is LinkedIn. Tim Beanland will follow you just there. There's a picture of me in front of a microphone smiling away in a white T-shirt. And then if you want some more practical advice and tips and all of that, I've got a Facebook group called How to Start a Podcast. Yes, it's about podcasting, but I put a lot of tips in there about video and getting yourself out there, because one of the benefits of a podcast, especially if you film it, is the content that you generate off that, and then producing a funnel eventually with those videos. And that's something I talk about a little bit more in that group. So that group's called How to Start a Podcast. The LinkedIn.
You know exactly what I was doing just off screen there. There we go. There is How to Start a Podcast, a project of Bean Talking. And I've picked up a load of advice from in there as well. So I know that's one of the great places where people can find you. There you go. Equipment to start a podcast. Gosh, you get an awful lot of engagement in there, I have to say. You do look quite mad in that photo, but nevertheless,
there's a few microphones there. Yeah,
yeah. No, actually that's a really active Facebook group, and I'm not just saying that because I've got you here. There we go, and it's a no. That's good. We enjoy that, right? Yep. Let's bring us back on screen, Tim. I know we talk several times a week, but I've enjoyed talking to you sort of publicly today, and I'll pop this video up everywhere where people can find it. So thank you.
Fantastic. No, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate you sharing my voice and my message with your audience, and I hope someone has at least taken one thing away, if not more, that they'll implement today and see some positive impact. Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll speak to you real soon. Take care.
Will do.